Hey there and welcome to the Big Apple School podcast. My name is Sam.
And my name is Stephen.
And today we're asking what's the crack about dangerous animals. So we're going to look at what dangerous animals live in the UK. We're both from that area originally, so we'll find out about that. What live in Europe and Russia. We're now at this moment in Russia, so we'll speak about that. Any experiences we may have had with dangerous animals or someone we know, or what are we afraid of? Because I think we're afraid of something, right? And most people are afraid of some animal, or at least afraid of being bitten or stung. Would we go surfing in certain places? Would we go hiking in other places? We're going to look at that kind of stuff. And about pets and what we think is the most dangerous animal. So we're going to get into all of that as we go along. So what are the dangerous animals living in the UK?
Well,
we're not talking about zoos, of course. But
that's right. Well, I think most English and British people, they tend to think that there aren't many dangerous animals in the UK, but okay. I think there are. There can be, especially in Scotland. There are some dangerous animals like not so much wolves, but there are dangerous stags and deer and that kind of thing.
And so occasionally you'll see a sign if you're driving along showing a deer in a big red triangle, isn't it? And it'll show you maybe a deer, and sometimes it can be cows, but I guess they're not quite as uncontrolled as deers might be.
Yes, cows can be quite dangerous. It's often forgotten that cows, cornered especially, or you get behind them, they can, horses also. And
horses too, yeah. So, I mean, they're not wild animals that are going to purposely kill you or aggressively kill you, but then most wild animals aren't purposefully killing humans either. I would say too the wasp.
Oh yes.
And I know it's not to be compared to bears or tigers or anything, but wasps, especially if you're allergic, could kill.
They could, yes, that's true.
And unfortunately, some people don't find out they're allergic or could become allergic just later in life without any warning. So I guess.
And what about hornets? Aren't they? Do we have hornets in the UK? I know we have them in France.
I haven't seen or heard of them in Northern Ireland. I think not. But wasps are bad enough. You're drinking your juice in the summer or eating bread and jam, and they're attracted to the sugar and whatever, and they come. And they're kind of more difficult than bees because they come for the sweet stuff, the sugar. And if you kind of try to attack them, they could get aggressive, I think, defend themselves.
I think wasps are more aggressive than bees because bees would die if it stung you.
Yeah,
whereas a wasp will attack you just for no reason, I think.
On guard.
Yes.
And its bottom comes the stinger out and back in again.
Yes.
It's not pleasant. I've been stung. Actually, I was walking about in a theme park called Alton Towers in England, and something landed on my head, and I just swatted it, and it turned out it was a wasp, and I found out when it stung me on the neck.
Oh yes.
Yeah, but thankfully I'm so far, touch wood, I'm not allergic. So we don't have anything that's gonna. Are there wolves in Scotland? Yeah,
there used to be wolves in Scotland, and I know there was some. They died out about 1700s, but there was some talk of reintroducing them.
Right. Wow.
In some parts, but I don't think there are now.
Because I know in Ireland, north and south, there are no wolves, and there are no snakes.
No.
not even a grass snake. In Ireland, except in the zoos, of course, and people's pets.
And it was St. Patrick who banished the snakes from
According to the legend, he chased them all out. Right, so that's the UK. I don't think people are too scared yet.
No, I don't think...
Hearing about wasps and bees.
No, it's not. I think...
And deer.
Most people would think it's a pretty tame place for animals.
I think so. So, looking at Europe and specifically Russia, there are a few more dangerous animals, I think.
Yes.
So, but you might not see them every day. I know I haven't. But what dangerous animals are in Russia?
Well, I think the stereotype that British people think of that everywhere you go in Russia, you're going to be met by a wolf or a bear.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a boy, there was a book of stereotypes.
Right.
And there was a picture of a man in Siberia standing with a bear, and a wolf was standing in the street.
Okay.
And it said in Siberia, men walk in the street with bears and wolves stand on the corner.
Okay.
But I think it's not quite as bad as that.
Not in my experience, no. It's not been so bad. So definitely there are bears, and I'm sure there are wolves. I've never seen any.
I've seen them in the zoo, in the Nova Scotia Zoo.
Yeah. But then I've seen them in Belfast Zoo too.
Yeah.
Tigers, although specific to the Amur region, if I'm right.
Siberian tiger, isn't they? Yes.
Amurski dikich.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but they're over in the far east of Russia, just above Vladivostok.
Yes.
If I'm right.
I think so. I've heard of them.
People will forgive me if I'm making a mistake. So you've got bears, you've got tigers, you've got wolves. There are some other animals like pumas, I think, or lynx.
I think so, yes.
Yeah, but they live away out in the wild, I think, generally away from people, don't they?
But there can be dangerous dogs as well. I think there may be rabies in some of the...
So wild dogs and things.
Yes.
Are there many snakes in Russia?
I was talking about this only yesterday, and it appears there are more snakes than I thought.
Right.
Some quite dangerous ones in the forests.
Right.
I think the most common is this, the one we have in Britain, the adder or viper.
Right.
But there are some more dangerous snakes.
Poisonous ones.
Yes, poisonous ones, but I can't remember the name of them.
Okay, wow. So, well, thankfully, I haven't had an experience of that. Ticks? Ticks, yeah. And not the ticks of the clock. These Klesh, I think it's
Klesh,
called.
I think, Klesh.
Something like that. Forgive our pronunciation, please.
I know they're quite dangerous in Russia because they
carrying kind of disease potentially carrying a disease that could cause you long-term health problems, yeah. So it's something that people are aware of and watching out. So if you're coming as a tourist, especially summer, I think, is it throughout the summer?
I think it begins in the spring, and it's worse in the early summer, and then it sort of dies off. And it's Lyme disease, isn't it, that they carry?
Is that what it is? Right.
But we have them in Britain, but they're not dangerous.
They're not carrying that disease, right? And some mosquitoes here, but they're not carrying disease.
No.
In Russia, thankfully, they don't carry disease. So at least we have that. It's great. But yeah, watch out for the ticks if you're in a forest. Actually, I felt something on my ear yesterday.
Yes.
I was with my wife, and I flicked something off my ear. I thought something was crawling, and at first it looked like a spider, but honestly, I killed it quite quickly actually. But I think it might have been a tick.
It could have been.
Yeah. It was kind of big body, black, and these little, but I killed it quite quickly. So you're not going to turn into a maniac, a raving lunatic. I hope not. So yeah, but yeah. So there was no bites on me or anything. So I hope.
I think they're more dangerous to animals, like dogs and pets. Right. I know if you're walking your dog, you have to make sure that there are no ticks on it afterwards, especially in the early part of the summer. I think.
Yeah. Right. So watch out for those. Yeah. Have you ever had or know anyone who has had an experience with a dangerous animal?
Well, yes. I know in France, for example, where I live, a friend of mine was attacked by hornets in his garden only this summer. They swarmed at him when he was digging the garden, and he had to have a week in hospital.
Oh, goodness. Dangerous.
That was very unpleasant because they stung him very badly.
Yeah. Okay. So in numbers, especially something like that is very dangerous.
I had an experience with a snake once.
Yeah. Poisonous?
Yes, it was in France again. There was a neighbour's dog was barking, and I went out, and the dog was playing with this viper. And it was a young one, and it was, I think, the old woman who owned the dog was shouting, at it, and so I went into my house and fetched a poker from the fire and killed it.
Right. Oh, so you weren't bitten?
No, but the dog was nearly bitten, and it would have maybe killed the dog.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So it's a risk, I guess. Well, the worst experience for me or anyone in my family was a dog bite. My mom was once bitten by a dog. The dog that we had, they were walking. My mom was walking the dog, and there was a little bit bigger dog. Who they got into a bit of a fight, I suppose you could say, and my mom tried to intervene, and that often happens, I suppose. So, strictly speaking, not what we think of when we think dangerous animals, but dogs can do damage. Yeah, but she's fine now, but it wasn't a nice experience. Yeah, and I can say I've had little bites from dogs. You know, I've always been around dogs most of my life, even early childhood. But only little bites, nothing severe, nothing worth talking about as far as that goes.
Well, I was frightened of dogs when I was a little boy, and I never knew why until my mother told me that when I was quite small, I was bitten by one of her friend's dogs. Yeah. I don't remember it, but I think that's probably what made me...
it's in your subconscious somewhere. Yeah. So, well, we've talked about France, but apart from France, have you ever been anywhere where there have been very dangerous animals, like the likes of maybe tigers or cheetahs or lions or crocodiles or anything like that?
Well, no, I've been to Canada where where bears are quite common and even come into the cities, right, in parts of northern Canada, and can cause quite a problem. But I've never seen anything like that. But I have been in northern Canada, Saskatchewan, I think it's called, and where they have them. Right,
okay. Well, I've been, I think most people know if they've listened to the podcast, I've been to Australia. But it was during the winter for them. And so I was a bit, honestly, people might think I'm strange. I was disappointed that I didn't see crocodiles. But then I was sort of in the south and the west, and I think they're mostly north and east, if I'm right.
I don't know.
But anyway, I didn't see crocodiles. And it's not that I wanted to be close to them or anything, but I would have liked to see one in real life, like real in the wild, from a distance.
You didn't see any kangaroos?
I saw lots of kangaroos.
But they didn't come up and box you, because they can be quite dangerous.
Yeah, they could be. They're huge, those animals. They could be, but no, they stayed away from me.
They probably thought you were...
They knew I was from Northern Ireland, and they...
A match for them.
I don't know. But yeah, and my friend who I was staying with is terrified of snakes. And young lads who he is friendly with thought it would be funny to throw a dead snake at him. And he wasn't impressed at all. I saw in the airport when I was leaving, I saw, I think it's called a redback spider, which is actually very dangerous. But I think I saw the female one, which is actually not so dangerous. But there was a child playing not too far from it. I decided that I would be kind of a humanitarian, and I decided to step on it.
Oh, that's good.
Please forgive me, anyone who is loving spiders. I just thought that little wee child, it was more important. But yeah, so yeah, I've been to Australia. I've been to the Middle East, Jerusalem and so on. But I never really saw, I guess there are dangerous animals there, but I never experienced.
Scorpions and things like that, wouldn't there?
There would be snakes and stuff.
Snakes.
But we were on a tour group, and we never came across anything terrible. So that was good. But we were at Eilat, which is in the south, and there's a Red Sea there. And actually, I was watching a TV program not too long ago, and there had been, at one stage, I don't think it's so common, but there had been some shark attacks. But I think
You were swimming in this sea,
I wasn't swimming. You wouldn't have got me. I didn't have to be told that there might be sharks. I just decided not to swim. I don't think I was prepared to swim anyway. But I didn't bother. I didn't bother swimming. Which leads a little bit on to the next couple of questions that I have for you. Are you afraid of snakes, spiders, crocodiles or alligators, sharks? So, I mean, what are you afraid of animal-wise?
Well, I think if I was going to be seeing these snakes, crocodiles, I would be frightened of them.
Altogether, maybe.
I'm not very keen on rats.
Okay.
In where I live in France, we often have them, especially in the cellar.
Yeah.
And I don't like going down there and seeing these big rats.
How big are they?
Well, they could be as long as your hand and a bit more.
Right. They're a big animal, yeah.
They're very big. They're not dangerous, but they're unpleasant.
Are they afraid of you? Do they run away when they see you?
No, they just sit there.
Oh my goodness. It sounds a bit creepy, yeah. Sounds a bit creepy.
The problem wasn't so bad until recently because our neighbours had 2 cats.
Yeah.
And they kept them away, but now the cats have either died or gone away.
Would you get a cat?
Well, I would if I was there any length of time.
Right, you're not there so often to be able to do that. Yeah. I'm not afraid of snakes. Not that I wouldn't be afraid if it was poisonous, but if you gave me a snake that I knew wouldn't bite me, I wouldn't be afraid. I think some people are really terrified and they wouldn't hold it. Would you hold a snake?
I wouldn't be very keen on it. I know that I was talking to one of the pupils that I teach. His friend keeps a pet snake.
Right.
And it sleeps on his bed.
Yeah, wow.
And it's a big one. It's not it's not poisonous, of course. I can't. There's a name for it in Russian, but I can't.
It's not a constrictor, is it?
No, I don't think so.
You'd sleep. You could wake up dead.
I wouldn't want to be.
Pardon the joke.
Going with a snake round my neck, like you see.
I'm not sure I'm that keen on snakes. I think I looked at in Novosibirsk Zoo. I looked at the snakes, and I must say their skin, their scales, is fascinating. The detail, the colors, the texture, it's really fascinating. I would even go so far as to say beautiful in its own way. But yeah, I wouldn't want to have one in my bed. No, not that keen.
I think they charge you 300 rubles at the zoo to drape this snake around your neck, to have a photograph taken.
I didn't try that. Yeah. So crocodiles and alligators, not something I would mess with.
No. Or
sharks, definitely not. In fact, I would go so far to say as I'm terrified of sharks. I'm terrified of the idea.
Yeah.
I've a recurring nightmare about being trapped in a swimming pool. I think this came from James Bond films.
Oh, yeah.
Trapped in a swimming pool and there's a shark there. James Bond used to do that. But in my nightmare, I'm not James Bond, unfortunately. I used to be so afraid of spiders as a little boy. Now, not so much, but if you asked me to hold a big spider, I would probably run.
I'm not too keen on them. I'll pick them up and get rid of them if they. Yeah. I'm not keen on.
Would you have a tarantula in your house?
No, I would not.
Definitely, categorically not. Categorically not. Yeah. No chance. So I'm going to test your bravery or maybe stupidity.
Yes.
Pardon me. Would you? It depends on your point of view. Would you swim or surf in a hot country where there might be sharks?
No, I would not. I would.
Would you paddle?
Well, I think if you could see us in the distance, if the sharks were coming, you could run out. They're not going to come onto the beach,
long as you can see
yes.
enough. Yeah, but maybe they could be quite quick.
Yeah.
And some people, is it knee high or something? A lot of shark attacks happen.
I believe so. Yes.
Or is that just a statistics that keeps getting repeated?
It's probably from Jaws or something.
Yeah. So you wouldn't catch me.
No.
And as I said, when I went to the Red Sea, I did not go in the water. Just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water. No, I wouldn't do it. I mean, if I were brought up in the culture alongside people, maybe in Australia, for example, who surfed regularly and you're brought up in that culture and you understand it better, I think.
Yes.
You might be less afraid. And maybe not. I don't know. But for me, coming from a culture and a country where there aren't so many sharks, they're very, very rare. I'm extra careful. I've watched too many films with sharks, Jaws and everything.
I don't like those sort of films.
No. Would you go hiking in crocodile country?
I would not.
No chance?
No chance. I don't even think I'd want to go to a...
Not for £1 million?
Well, not hiking, I think.
Not hiking. I mean, you could bring a shotgun.
I could, but I'm not quite sure whether I'd aim straight.
Maybe it would be nice open country and there's not many streams or rivers. Would you feel more comfortable?
Well, if it was known to be a safe place, but you can never be sure. I wouldn't.
Well, that's it. Yeah.
I mean, I'm even not frightened, but I mean, when I go in my garden in France in the hot weather, I always put on boots because in case you tread on a snake.
Yeah. You've got that risk, yeah.
There's always they're quite dangerous if you tread on them.
Right, yeah. I think they don't like that for some reason.
No, they wouldn't.
Yeah, if I asked myself this question, would I go hiking in crocodile country? Yeah, I probably would. I wouldn't do it unless I felt safe. Like I felt like I could see visibility. If there was good visibility and you weren't gonna get caught. A crocodile sneaking up on you or something. But I've also watched Crocodile Dundee.
Oh, yes.
Too many films have scared me. And the thing about films is they're not realistic often. The animals are not the real animal and it's not the real behavior and stuff.
I remember an episode of Thunderbirds. Do you remember Thunderbirds Are Go?
Yeah, I remember it.
It was about alligators in the river in I don't know where it was, Africa or somewhere.
Right.
And somebody had put some chemical into the river, and the alligators were about 10 times the size.
Goodness.
And they were attacking.
But this,
that gave me nightmares when I was a boy watching that.
I think so, yeah. You know why I think they did that?
Why?
Because the models, suited the size of because the models were very small that they used for the TV program.
Yes.
And I guess the alligators, they found some small alligators
that
suited the models.
So.
I think so. And then they give you nightmares because of that. Oh. So you've told me you won't keep a pet tarantula.
No.
Not a pet snake either?
No, I wouldn't want a pet snake. I wouldn't mind anything that's, a normal pet. But
what do you
not
mean normal? A dog? Would you have a dog?
Oh, yes, I'd have a dog.
You're not afraid of dogs?
No, I'm not afraid of dogs.
A scorpion?
No.
Fair play, as we say in Ireland, Northern Ireland, fair play to you. If you want to have a pet tarantula or snake or scorpion, hopefully you have defanged it or got rid of the poison or whatever, in case someone touches it. But as much as I think they're interesting, I don't want one as a pet. I could stretch with a snake. I think I could see myself having a snake, except you have to feed them with maybe mice or locusts, and that would be uncomfortable. I think I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't be against a pet snake, except for the fact that you have to feed it these other animals, and it wouldn't be so comfortable.
Yeah, I think it might smell as well, something maybe, like a snake.
And I guess it's a bit like pet rabbits don't do much, right? They sit in their cage and they kind of just go to the toilet, and that's about it. And I think a snake probably does something similar.
Yes.
Where dogs are more lively and sociable and interactive, and I think dogs and cats are probably better for pets.
I think so. Yes. Well, they are more not designed, but they're sort of more sociable animals, dogs.
Yeah.
Cats I'm not too
domesticated
sure about.
What's the most dangerous animal in the world?
I would think it would be some sort of one of those big wild white bears or something like that.
Oh yeah, like a polar bear.
Yes, polar bears.
Big polar bear. Well, I wouldn't want to mess with one, that's for sure. How tall can they get? I mean, if you look at the zoo,
quite big. I mean,
is it 3-4 meters, or is it
something
smaller
like
than that?
Well, they wouldn't be very useful, very comfortable to meet. I think.
I wouldn't like to fight one, for sure. Even if I had a big stick or weapon or something.
And I think they're hunters. They would come after you, wouldn't they?
Yeah. There was a guy, I think, in a BBC program was attacked, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And thankfully he was in some kind of containers and cage to protect him because he was filming. And I think the bear tried to get him out.
I remember that, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they would certainly go for the attack, a bear.
Yeah. Well, based on what I've read, and that's a kind of disclaimer, I suppose, but based on what I've read, mosquitoes are the most dangerous animal. Well, it's not because, of course, they can, tear your throat or whatever, but it's because they carry that disease or whatever. So actually mosquitoes are, and sharks kill much less people than, say, some farm animals and so on. Because we're interacting more with farm animals.
Yes.
Like even a cow or a horse kills more people per year than a shark might, purely because we're interacting more. And I think sharks aren't that interested in eating us.
No, I don't think they will actually come after people so much. But
they have a bit of curiosity.
Yeah.
And I think that leads them to bite people, and it can be fatal. Of course, it's not something to be trifled with, but I don't think they do it on purpose because they're just getting confused and maybe curious as well. But they're pretty powerful. I mean, they're a pretty powerful animal, but the little mosquito beats them. Yeah. Why do snakes scare people?
Well, I think it's because it comes from the Bible, doesn't it? Because it was Lucifer,
right?
That was appeared in the form of a serpent,
right?
And
serpent is synonym for snake. Yeah.
Yes, and when there was the curse of Adam and Eve, Lucifer was the serpent was he had to crawl on his belly. It was a snake.
Yeah,
and I think in biblical sort of analogy, it's a symbol of the devil.
Right. But is there more to it than that? Because, I mean, even people who maybe not focusing on that, or maybe not even know about that, could be terrified of snakes.
Yes.
Is it because they are not furry?
Well, it could be, but
they don't have, the traditional big, lovely brown eyes and furry skin, fur-covered skin.
I mean, people aren't sort of. I mean, there are worms and things like that are similar. The people aren't sort of frightened of.
No,
I think it's something in our
is it because they bite?
Psyche.
Maybe it is psyche.
That's passed down from generation to generation.
Maybe it's the fact they bite too.
Yes.
And so I guess we learn a lot though too from our parents as well, and grandparents maybe as well. And we kind of hold a tradition from them, don't we? Like, I mean, my dad's scared of snakes. But, I mean, saying that, my dad's scared of snakes and I'm not. I mean, not so much. So yeah, it's interesting. What would you do if you met a bear?
I would probably try to walk away very slowly.
Right.
And show. I think there's a lot of animals, they will not attack you if you show you're not afraid of them.
Yeah.
Or
if you're not aggressive.
Not aggressive, just... I know that dangerous dogs, I was told by a farmer, and it always works, that you should always point a stick at a dog, and it will not come close to the stick.
Right. It doesn't like that stick.
Doesn't like the stick.
They don't like being hit with sticks. And I think... the dog's nose is very sensitive too, actually. Yeah.
Like a bull with the ring on the...
Right.
How they lead the bull, they put the ring through the nose.
Yeah. I must say I don't like being hit in my nose either.
No.
It's not so nice. Yeah, I mean, well, there's different advice. I'm a bit confused about bears. And the thing is, we don't see them.
No.
We live in Russia, we don't see them. But there's some advice for black bear and some advice for brown bear. And it seems some people would say that you treat them differently. And I mean, it's confusing. Some people say you have to stand up tall and shout. But I think that's more to keep yourself safe from them coming in the first place, because they tend not to go towards noise. I think they tend to avoid trouble, the bears, and they don't purposely go out to hunt you down. I've heard they love toothpaste. So if you're camping in the wild and it's bear country, I don't know if I recommend it, first of all, but if you are, keep your toothpaste and even all your food, keep it away from where you're sleeping or
Good
camping.
idea,
Or whatever.
yes.
Yeah, keep it away from you. And I think the best thing is to avoid them in the first
Yes,
place.
not go there.
But yeah, I guess, not being an expert, maybe back away slowly, depending on how.
I think so.
Depending on how
yes.
aggressive it is, I guess. But which comes to the next thing. So about all animals, you've given some advice already, but have you heard any other good advice for dealing with any kind of animals?
Well, the only thing is, I think if it's cows, for example, you wouldn't want to go behind them.
You don't walk behind them. Yeah,
And
I've heard that.
you would walk past them very slowly, and they won't harm you.
Yeah. They're placid, aren't they? Generally, they're not going to hurt you.
A
But
bull might, if there's a bull in the field.
don't go in the field. Yeah, I've learned. Actually, funny thing was when I was a boy, I was walking in a field, and I'd never had problems with cows. But my friend and I, cousin actually, we were good friends, about the same age. I think we're about 12, so we're a little bit immature, let's say. If not still immature, I don't know, but certainly immature then. And we had our dog. My dog, it was a medium-sized dog, black and white, blue roan cocker spaniel. And we're walking about, and the cows, I think they didn't like the dog being there, and they chased us. And I mean, there was nothing we could do except run out of the field and take the dog with us and make sure. I was worried about the dog. I wasn't so worried about me. I mean, not that I was going to fight with a cow, but I was worried about the dog because I think they were chasing the dog actually. And so, yeah, don't go in the field, especially if you have a dog, because they may take a notion that they don't like dogs. And if it's a bull, if you have any doubt, do not go in the field.
Yes.
And if it has horns of any kind, I don't recommend going too close. I'd advise that. I was given some advice about dogs. And I think it was a dog, it was barking. So it was an aggressive dog. I was told to kind of, I think I was told to keep eye contact. And forgive me, don't test this advice too carefully, but I think I was told to avoid eye contact. I was told to avoid eye contact and keep my hands out of my pockets, but not make any sudden movements. And kind of walk slowly but steadily away, or not turning my back to the animal, but walking past it, and sort of walk slowly but not quickly. Don't make sudden movements. Don't really make eye contact. I think it was more to avoid an aggressive dog.
Yes.
I mean, if you're going to stand up to a dog that's not aggressive, you might do that stick trick, or you might look it in the eyes. But I don't think it's a good idea to challenge a dog, really.
No.
Because if it takes you up on your challenge, unfortunately, they're quite quick. And humans, I think we're not ready for it, generally speaking. And they're pretty quick. Even though they've only one weapon, right? They've only got their teeth. And we have 4. We've got hands and feet. They can take us by surprise. And I think it's not a good idea to challenge a dog, even a small dog.
That's right.
Because you could get the shock of your life, I think. But anyway, so, I mean, we talked quite a bit about dangerous animals, but for us, a dog is just as dangerous in our lives anyway, in our experiences. It's just as dangerous as others. But there are dangerous animals out there, and
I know a lot of people who've been entertained by the Queen have often been bitten by her corgis.
are they naughty, those dogs?
Well, yes, and they can keep quite a nip, and I think they have. I think some president was nipped by it.
I'd like to have been a fly on the wall for that. But there you go. I guess we'll finish it there. So that was the crack about dangerous animals. We talked about what lives in the UK. So it's not very intimidating, but it's dangerous. We talked about Europe and specifically Russia. We've got some dangerous animals there. And we talked a bit about dogs and being bitten and hornets as well. We've been to a couple of dangerous places where snakes and crocodiles. We wouldn't keep pets, and we're not going to surf in shark-infested waters, and we're not going to have the more unusual pets. It's not for us.
No.
But fair play to you if you have them. And yeah, the most dangerous animal is the mosquito, purely because of the diseases, unfortunately. So guys, that was the crack about dangerous animals.